Hello everyone. Today I want to go into one of the first parts of the series. Remember, we took the test to see if you're an empath or a highly sensitive person, or you could be none of the above, but all this stuff is good for everybody. So we're going to look at how we spend our time and who we spend our time with. These are really important things to look at. So right now, most people are kind of isolated because of the times, but hopefully when we go back to living a normal life, which who knows when that's going to be, if it's anytime soon, we'll be more around people, whether it's friends or acquaintances or anything of that nature. But right now, most people are spending time either with whoever they live with, or they're spending more time on the phone, texting, talking, or just watching TV, which I wouldn't recommend too much of because 90% of the stuff you'll see on TV will be negative stuff. So let's go into looking at how we can start to notice and become more aware of our surroundings. So that's whatever we're around or in contact with energy. So looking at people, for instance, when you talk to somebody on the phone, how do you feel as you talk to them? Do you feel on edge? Do you feel really relaxed? Are you able to communicate and get your message across easily besides receiving theirs? Or do you notice that you're always manipulating what you say because whatever you say might trigger that person? Or they misinterpret it? Or they'll talk about topics that really irritate you. Or they'll be trying to, what they call triangulate, and this is what a narcissist usually does, by creating like flying monkeys in a smear campaign where they start to talk badly about a friend or a family member, trying to get you on board with them. So a lot of things like this happens. So like when you're talking to the person, how do you feel? Are you able to just freely talk and be yourself, or you're not able to? This is a big red flag if you're not able to, because then you have to take a step back and think, why are you putting yourself in this position to be on the phone with this person and trade energy? Because that's what this is, it's trading energy. And how do you feel? If you feel like you're walking on eggshells, it's not a good thing, and then you have to start to think, why am I putting myself in this situation to begin with? Same thing when you're able to be with somebody and spend time with them. Do you feel at ease where you could be yourself? Or do you feel like you have to have a little bit of a wall up because that person takes things wrong, or that anything you say, could be misinterpreted? Also, when you're around certain people, some people are just negative people. You can't make somebody change. You can't make somebody happy who doesn't want to be happy. You can't make somebody peaceful or nice. It's just not possible, and it's a very egotistical way of thinking, and it's an idealist way of thinking. So the most important thing is keeping your peace. You could be peaceful and kind and compassionate. It doesn't mean that's going to rub off on somebody and they're going to be like that to you. That's just some type of whimsical way of thinking. I already tried it as an experiment in my first firehouse. Here's some grumpy, mean people. And I was like, well, as long as I'm nice to them and I'm caring, that didn't work. If anything, they became more abusive. And then the other ones who weren't abusive noticed that I wasn't really doing anything in contrast to that, so it became social bullying. So I had more people that got on board to treat me a certain way until I stood up for myself. So the tactics of thinking that if you're a good person and you're sweet to them and you allow them to walk all over you, that eventually they'll see you're a good person and they'll stop. That doesn't work. Once somebody realizes they could go past a certain point with boundaries, they keep going and going and going. So the best thing to do is to stop it right there in its tracks. So, when you look at the time you spend people or around, even work, you could be going to work, and then in the firehouse it's different. You have a rotation of people, but you go to work, most jobs you have the same person. How do you feel when you enter the office, when you see that person, when you have to talk to them, when you have to deal with them? How do you feel? With work it's different. you can minimize your time as much as you can, but you have no choice. It's work, right? But when it comes to outside of work, with friendships and family members and acquaintances, as an adult, you have all the choices in the world to not devote much energy or time to them. So one thing to think of is, whether you talk to somebody, you text somebody, you're in their presence, how do you feel? Do you feel at ease? Do you feel recharged? Do you feel like joy? Do you feel happiness? Do you feel like you can't wait to talk to them again? Or do you feel like when you finish talking to them, are you happy that you spent time talking to them, that you feel better? These are good signs, and there are people that do that. But then we're looking at the opposite to help protect yourself. So those people that make you feel good and make you feel heard or understood, these are the people you want to spend time around. Somebody you can exchange ideas with freely and just talk about anything. Even if you don't agree with each other, they don't make you feel bad or make you feel out of place or anything like that. It's just like everybody has their own point of view, and this is okay. But now, what if that person gaslights you, or they put you down, or they're passive aggressive, where they throw, sarcastic remarks at you, towards you, which is not something that's funny. And some people will do that. So, these are the people that you don't want to spend much time around. You actually want to limit your time. If it's a friend, sometimes you got to let them go. If it's somebody who's in your family, maybe you should limit your time. These are things to start to look at. Also, the thing that you could start to do is, after your encounter with the person, and then you're finally by yourself, usually a highly sensitive person, once they leave the environment, they'll feel fine. But an empath won't. They could carry that for hours or the rest of the day. So, this is a big difference. Some people could listen to something and not care and just be like, okay, because they're not in tune anyway and they don't care. So all these things are different levels of feeling. These are different levels of awareness, and they're different levels of you being able to absorb or not absorb other people's energy. So when you spend time with somebody and you are alone, afterwards, easiest thing you could do is sit quietly, close your eyes. You can even think about the person. You could think about the conversation that you have. This is considered like contemplative meditation. And just sit there and think about these things. And then the first thing you want to do is notice how your body feels. Do you feel relaxed, or do you feel tension building up? Do you feel anger? Do you feel resentment? Do you feel some tightness in your neck? Do you feel your stomach bothering you? Sit there and just close your eyes and start to think of the conversation, the person you were with, and notice how your body starts to react. This is the most important thing. And then as you do that, notice it. If anything, write it down, put it into words, and then just sit with it. And if it's something that's not positive or neutral and it's negative, be brutally honest with yourself and go, wow, this person makes me feel this way, and I don't want to feel this way. So now the thing that you have to do from there is acknowledge that and be honest with yourself. Because the only way that something could really impact you is if you continue to put energy into it. So that has to do with being in their presence, giving them attention, and giving them your time. So if you know it's a negative thing, and you've written down everything that you have on how that person makes you feel, and it's not something that's good, then why are you spending time with them? Because the bad thing is, with an empath, you will put yourself in harm's way to try to help other people, or worst thing is fix other people or change other people, because you don't want them to suffer. You want them to be happy, so you put your best foot forward, hoping that you could help them see that life is, not just something that's a struggle, that there's more to life, with love, happiness, compassion, kindness, all these things. But that's never going to happen. This is what usually keeps an empath in an abusive relationship for way too long, because your hope is projection from yourself onto them, thinking that they could think and feel like you. It's impossible. A narcissist is the complete opposite of an empath. So this is why that's such a toxic relationship that's super damaging to the empath. Usually if they're a high level one, they'll heal and move on, in due time. But some won't. Some will just take that and shut down and never have another relationship again because now they don't trust people. So these are really important things to look at. And if you do feel that way when you get off the phone, or you see a text message from somebody, you see them text you, go, oh, or you just respond to them, and next thing you know, it's an argument. It's like, why are you investing any energy in this person? So when you sit there and you could feel these feelings of what happened, now you know not to invest much time. Because any type of energy, any type of thought, it'll start to get stronger and bigger the more energy you invest into it. So rumination's one thing that empaths do. When things go wrong, you think so much about what you could have done, what you should have done, would have, could have, should have, where you could have changed things or made things better, but you can't. The only person you have control over is yourself, nobody else. If somebody takes something the wrong way, you have no control over that. You can maybe explain certain things to hopefully change it, but that's not guaranteed. You have no guarantee on how anybody thinks or feels. You have no control over any results. Even if you do something good for somebody and you give them a gift and they don't say thank you, don't get upset. Just be happy that you are able to express yourself like that. And then somebody might, especially if somebody has a cluster B, they might know that you got them something that you put a lot of thought and effort into, and they go, oh, I hate this, or oh, you got me this. Don't let that ruin it. And then start to notice these things. Wow, why am I still doing so much for this person? Why am I still spending energy? Why am I still in this relationship? Why do I keep going to this person's house? Or why do I keep calling them? When I leave, I always feel drained. I always feel, down. It's like, you have to start to notice these things. And then the power that you have is now to either love them from a distance, limit your time around them, or you have to distance yourself in a way where you're pretty much cutting them off. And that's very hard for an empath to do because you don't want to hurt anybody. But you have to get to the point where you have strong boundaries and you learn to say no and you learn to take care of yourself. Because you can love everybody and help everybody and care about everybody, but you have to do it for yourself because nobody else will. So an important thing to do with what we're talking about today is whenever you talk to somebody, whether it's on the phone, in person, text them, anytime you're in a certain person's energy field and you leave them, if you're a highly sensitive person, you might be fine. So you don't even have to think about it, but an empath, you won't. So go home, sit there, close your eyes, and just think of the person, think of the conversation, just see how it makes your body feel, how it makes your heart feel, what it does to you on energetic levels. And then you'll know if this person is toxic or not. And if they are, don't sweep it under the rug. You have to really look at things for what they truly are. This is where your awareness and awakening really starts to develop. And be true to yourself, because that's the most important thing. So try this, see how this helps you, because it definitely will. It might not be easy, and nobody said any of this will be easy, but these are things to start to notice, because everything's a spectrum. Somebody could be an empath and have a low level of awareness and have a really tough life because they're around negative, toxic people that use them and abuse them all the time. And then you have somebody who's on a higher level that has created healthy boundaries, that tries to limit their time around these type of people if they can't eliminate them out of their lives. And this will start to change how you feel, and this will have a positive impact on your health, because being around negative people has a negative impact on your health. I could go into other things also, which I'll just touch upon real quickly. If you're on social media, if you're watching TV all the time and there's negative stuff and you notice how it triggers you or makes you upset, don't watch it. Just don't watch it. It's find something else to do. Invest your time in something positive. Read some uplifting books. Watch a movie with no commercials that's pushing propaganda. Don't watch any woke TV shows that pushes political stuff. Get away from this stuff. You feeling a certain way is not gonna, them triggering you to feel a certain way is not gonna help you. It's not gonna make life better. The only thing that you could really change immediately is yourself and your reactions to others. So starting to protect your energy is the most important thing. And it's not about being weak and feeble and not being able to deal with life. No, it's making life better. Because there's a lot of things that we could actually start to distance ourselves from or cut out altogether. You know, I remember years ago, people were talking about all this stuff that's happened on TV with politics. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. They go, how do you not know? I go, I don't have TV. They're like, how do you not have TV? I go, I don't. And they couldn't even be angry at me because there's nothing to argue about. You know, so it's like they went off on their own little thing, and I was enjoying the rest of the day while they were contemplating and arguing about certain things that they watch on TV, which you don't know if it's true or not, you know, unless you want to do your research, and that takes effort. So really guard your energy field. You know, don't just allow anything in it. But right now we're just learning the very beginning. So whatever you're around, whether it's talking on the phone, watching TV, social media on your phone, texting, being around people, notice how you feel when you leave that environment. Notice how you feel in that environment. That's the most important thing. When you're talking to the person and engaging, right there at that moment, notice how it's making you feel. And then when you leave, really sit there and close your eyes, sit wherever you can where it's comfortable, with your back straight, and just think of that person, think of the situation that just happened, and notice how it makes you feel. If it doesn't make you feel good, you don't need to put yourself back there over and over again. You know, it's like putting your hand on a hot stove. Every time you put your hand on the stove, you know you're gonna burn your hand. You know, so why are you putting your hand on the stove? Same thing I told somebody yesterday. If you put your hand on the table and there's somebody with a hammer, every time you put your hand on the table, they're gonna hit your finger with a hammer. Why are you gonna put your hand on the table? There's no need to. You know, these are simple analogies, but it's the same thing. I remember I did this a long time ago, and I felt really alone in the beginning, but then the right people started to come into my life, and life really changed for the better. And, you know, this is where you have to make a stand for yourself, because you have to really love yourself enough to do these things. And these are hard decisions, but these are decisions that you need to do to help yourself just fulfill the life that you need to for yourself, your own destiny. And that happens through free will and the decisions that we make. So just take this exercise. This is the first of many things, and just feel, you know, just so thinking of it as a feeling exercise. Go home, do some contemplative meditation, and there. If it's somebody that just triggers you right off the bat, that's even better, but just be aware of it and say, why do I always talk? Like if you live in a building, every time you see that person, you start to talk to them, you feel, you know, drained after. You don't have to talk to them. Just, hello, good afternoon. Don't ask how you're doing, because then they're going to tell you how they're doing, and they're miserable, you know? So these are things to really look at and to play with. Remember, if you're a highly sensitive person, usually once you leave the environment, you're fine, but not an empath. So this works for anybody, but this is mostly towards empaths. So if you're the one who's feeling all these things, notice them. Once you notice it, you can work with it. Once you're aware of it, you could change it. These are really important things. All right, so I don't want to go any further to make this video longer, but hopefully this helps. I'll talk to everybody soon. Be well, and God bless.